Have you ever noticed how the people who seem to get what they want in life are not always the nicest ones in the room? Think about it. The boss who never apologizes for their decisions. The friend who tells you the truth even when it stings. The colleague who doesn't laugh at inappropriate jokes just to fit in. There's something about them that commands attention, something that makes others step carefully around their boundaries. What if I told you that what looks like rudeness to most people is actually one of the most sophisticated forms of power you could ever master? Most of us spend our entire lives believing that kindness equals strength, that politeness is the same as integrity. We're taught from childhood to soften our words, to cushion our truths, to smile even when we're uncomfortable. But here's what nobody tells you. That training isn't designed to make you powerful. It's designed to make you manageable. Every time you swallow your honest reaction to keep the peace, every time you laugh at a comment that disrespects you, every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't deserve an explanation, you're not being mature. You're being controlled. And the invisible leash around your neck gets tighter with each polite smile you force. Imagine standing in a meeting where someone takes credit for your idea. Your instinct screams to confront them, but your training kicks in. You think about how it would look, how people might perceive you as aggressive or difficult. So you stay quiet. You tell yourself you're being professional, but what's really happening? You've just taught everyone in that room that your boundaries are negotiable, that your work can be stolen without consequence, that your silence can be purchased with the threat of social discomfort. Now imagine a different scenario. Same meeting, same theft of your idea, but this time you simply say, "That's interesting, because that's exactly what I proposed last week." No smile, no softening, just clarity delivered without apology. The room shifts instantly. People remember that moment. They recalibrate how they see you. That single sentence, which some might call rude, just established something politeness never could. It established that you're not someone who can be quietly erased. The genius of strategic rudeness isn't about being cruel or aggressive. It is about understanding that power lives in the gap between what people expect you to say and what you actually say. Think about the people you respect most in your life. Chances are, they're not the ones who agree with everything. They're the ones who challenged you, who told you hard truths, who didn't perform emotional labor just to keep you comfortable. They might have hurt your feelings once or twice, but you trust them more than anyone else because you know they don't lie to protect themselves. That's the paradox. The people who dare to be occasionally rude are often the most trustworthy because they've proven they value truth over approval. Everyone else is just performing, telling you what you want to hear while quietly judging you behind closed doors. Here's what makes this so powerful. Most people are terrified of being disliked. That fear is the invisible cage they live in. They negotiate away their dignity piece by piece, trading their authentic voice for the comfort of not making waves. But what happens to someone who isn't afraid of that label? What happens when you stop caring if someone thinks you rude and start caring only about whether you being honest? You become dangerous in the best possible way. Not dangerous because you hurt people, but dangerous because you can't be manipulated. The person who needs your approval has power over you. The person whose approval you don't need has power over them. It's that simple and that devastating. Think about how manipulation actually works in daily life. Someone makes a subtle dig at you, wrapped in humor. You feel the sting, but they're smiling, so you smile back. If you react, you're the one who can't take a joke. If you stay quiet, they get to continue. That's the trap. Politeness becomes the weapon they use to keep you silent. They can insult you, undermine you, dismiss you, all while maintaining plausible deniability because they did it nicely. But what if you simply stopped playing that game? What if the next time someone made that joke, you looked at them and said, "Are you trying to be funny or just disrespectful?" The room goes quiet. They stammer. Everyone suddenly sees what was happening. You've just torn off the mask. And here's the beautiful part. You didn't yell. You didn't insult them back. You didn't lose control. You just refused to participate in their game. That refusal, that willingness to create discomfort rather than absorb it, that's where real power begins. The question isn't whether rudeness is good or bad. The question is whether you're capable of using it when necessary and disciplined enough to withhold it when it's not. Because here's the thing about power that most people never understand. It's not about what you do constantly. It's about what people know you're capable of doing. Imagine a leader who never raises their voice, who treats everyone with measured respect, who listens more than they speak. Now imagine that same person in a critical moment, cutting through someone's excuse with a single sentence. "I don't believe you." That's it. No elaboration. No softening. The contrast between their usual composure and that moment of directness creates an earthquake. Everyone in the room feels it. That person just demonstrated something crucial. Their politeness is a choice, not a weakness. And the moment you understand that distinction, you understand everything. Most people confuse niceness with morality, but they're not the same thing. You can be deeply moral while being selectively rude. In fact, sometimes being rude is the most moral thing you can do. When someone lies to you and you smile and accept it, you're not being kind. You're being complicit. When someone violates a boundary and you apologize for bringing it up, you're not keeping the peace. You're teaching them that violations have no consequences. The truly moral act would be to say, "Don't do that again." No explanation. No justification. Just a line in the sand. The person who can do that, who can value truth over comfort, who can risk being called difficult rather than be quietly disrespected, that person has mastered something rare. They've learned that their respect for themselves matters more than other people's comfort with their submission. There's a particular kind of person who thrives on your politeness. They test boundaries constantly, always seeing how far they can push before you snap. They interrupt you, dismiss your opinions, make plans without consulting you, take liberties with your time and energy. And they get away with it because you've been trained to be understanding, to give second chances, to assume good intentions. But what if you stopped? What if the first time someone interrupted you, you simply said, "I wasn't finished," and continued talking without missing a beat? No apology for being firm. No softening your tone. Just clarity. That person would think twice before doing it again. Not because you are cruel, but because you demonstrated that your voice isn't background noise. One moment of strategic rudeness just saved you from 100 future disrespects. The beauty of this approach is that it's self-reinforcing. The more you practice drawing clear lines, the less often you need to. People learn quickly who they can manipulate and who they can't. When you establish early that you don't negotiate over basic respect, you won't have to keep fighting that battle. Your reputation does the work for you. Others see how you handled someone's overreach and they adjust their behavior accordingly. You haven't become mean. You've just stopped being an easy target. And in a world where most people are desperately trying to be liked, the person who's simply trying to be respected stands out like a lighthouse in fog. Here's the final layer that makes this truly powerful. When you stop performing politeness, you reclaim all the energy you are wasting on impression management. Think about how much mental bandwidth goes into crafting responses that won't offend anyone, into anticipating how your words might be misinterpreted, into softening every honest thought before it leaves your mouth. Now imagine redirecting all that energy toward actually accomplishing things, toward building, creating, improving. The people who master strategic rudeness aren't spending their days worried about who likes them. They're focused on results, on truth, on impact. And ironically, those are the people others end up respecting most. So what does this actually look like in practice? It means when someone asks you to do something unreasonable, You say no without a paragraph of excuses. It means when someone disrespects you, you address it immediately rather than letting it fester. It means when you disagree, you state it plainly rather than hiding behind maybe or I'm not sure. It means you stop apologizing for having standards, for knowing what you want, for refusing to participate in games that diminish you. None of this requires being cruel. It simply requires being direct. The world calls it rude because directness threatens the comfortable lies polite society runs on. But make no mistake, the person who can speak plainly, who can say no without guilt, who can confront without anger, who can establish boundaries without apology, that person has accessed a level of freedom most people will never know. They've stopped letting other people's expectations determine their behavior. They've stopped trading authenticity for acceptance. And in doing so, they've become the one thing everyone secretly wants to be: untouchable. Not because they're above others, but because they're finally, completely themselves.